Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the virtual meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. I will now proceed to Agenda 1, which is election of the chairman for the meeting. Before I do so, could I please ask everybody to mute themselves if they are not speaking? This avoids feedback. And then remember to unmute yourself when you want to speak. Okay, could I please have a nomination for chairman for the meeting?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Councillor Cole.
Councillor Cherry?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Councillor Chol as chairman for the meeting. Thank you very much. Councillor Cole?
Thank you very much. Before we move to the formal agenda, I have a few procedural housekeeping issues to deal with. This meeting is being held under the virtual meetings regulations used in Microsoft Teams. Decisions made by the subcommittee will have the same standing and validity as if they had been made at a standard meeting held in the town hall. Members, would you please ensure that your audio is muted when you are not speaking? When you wish to speak, would you please indicate by using the hand signal functions, and I will invite you to speak. If you are leaving or returning to the meeting at any point, would you please ensure that I am aware of this by using the chat function? When we reach the point in the meeting when the subcommittee withdraws to consider the submissions and make its deliberations, I will ask the applicant, those making representations, and a licensing officer to leave the virtual meeting and will advise a time when they should rejoin the virtual meeting. When the meeting has been reconvened, I will announce the decision. At this point, can I just say my two colleagues on the committee are Councillors Caroline Cherry and Mike Solomon. So moving back to the formal agenda, item 2, any apologies?
Madam Chairman.
Item 3, any declarations of pecuniary interests?
No.
None. Item 4, application for a club premises certificate for Winscombe Rugby Football Club. Can I invite the licensing officer to outline the proposal, please?
Thank you, Councillor. So I have a report to cover the application for the grant of a club certificate for Winscombe Rugby Club. Consultations have been carried out and we have received objections from 4 residents. So just to outline the application, which was received on the 13th of November from Winscombe Rugby Club for the grant of a club premises certificate under the Licensing Act. The premises comprises of 2 multi-purpose container units and pitch-side viewing area running the length of the Longfield playing fields as a designated space for on and off sales. 1 container is designated as a pitch-side cafe, the second of the bar. Winscombe Rugby Football Club has commercial and residential properties within 100 metres of the licensed premise. A copy of the location plan of the premise is shown at Appendix B. A more detailed site layout plan of the location, including internal layouts of the container units, is shown at Appendix C. The licensable activities are supply of alcohol, and they are for Monday to Friday, 5 o'clock PM to 11 o'clock PM, and Saturday and Sunday, 12 o'clock to 11 o'clock PM. We have carried out consultations with the responsible authorities. The applicant has advertised the application in a local newspaper and placed a notice at the property detailing the application. We have no representations received from any of the responsible authorities, but we have received representations from neighbours, as said before, and they relate to concerns regarding the safe disposal of used water from the premise and the lack of provision of toilet facilities. Also in relation to possible noise intrusion to local residents and an increase in litter and possible contamination to land from disposal of wastewater, and the possibility of public places being used where toilet facilities are not provided. We have also received representations suggesting that the provision of alcohol is inappropriate next to areas being used for youth activities. Copies of all the representations which have been received are shown at Appendix D. We would therefore ask that you consider the application based on the information that you have, and your options are to grant the application as applied for, grant the application with modifications to the dates or timings of the licensable activities or conditions to be attached to the licence, or refuse the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this stage, for clarification, are there any questions? Okay, so I'll move on to the 4 representations. Can I first invite Dennis Cutmore to clarify and outline your concerns, please, regarding this application?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I just start by saying that I've got sound perfectly, but I have no picture, so not that I'm bothered about that. So I just wanted to make sure that you can hear me. Is that the case? Good, thank you. Right, I'm going to just say a few brief points about the toilets and general hygiene. The first one is there are currently no toilet facilities on the site, nothing whatsoever. The second point is that it's been suggested by the club that portaloos will be provided, but none are there and they don't have planning consent to be put there. The planning application, which has been granted retrospectively for this facility, did show portaloos on the plan, but they were not mentioned in the application letter or form, and they were not mentioned in the decision notice. The third point is, if portaloos are provided in the future, after gaining planning consent, if they do gain consent, will they have facilities to wash hands with hot water as opposed to cold water and with soap? The next point is, how is the grey water from the hand washing to be drained and to where? I'm not I believe there was a pipe that went into the ditch at the back, or stream at the back, but that's been removed. Then the next point is, would the club's intentions be that the toilets are available for both sexes, male and female, as well as teenagers who may or may not have been playing rugby, and small children also? Are there any baby changing facilities proposed? And finally, will the portaloos be held out as satisfying the relevant environmental health legislation? Those are the points I wanted to make, and I'll hand on to one of my colleagues. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Can I just point out there's a lot of echo on the line. Can I just make sure everyone's muted? Everyone's audio switched off who's not speaking. That's better. Can I just point out at this stage that planning issues are not relevant to this subcommittee meeting. The committee is only considering the 4 licensing objectives, so anything to do with planning is not relevant. Questions? Are there any questions from anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, it's Dennis Cutmore once more. I do understand and appreciate that planning issues are not your remit, but surely when you're looking at this licensing application, you have to consider whether or not lavatories are available for the public who are being invited to use the bar. And I hope that you'll accept that that's a relevant point. I'll now unmute myself again.
Okay.
Chairman, maybe the licensing officer, Amanda Hodge, would like to come in with that.
Amanda.
Hello. Sorry. Is it the planning situation that you want me to comment on?
Yeah, can you
Yes,
just
and the fact
clarify
that the
the
toilets-
difference between planning and licensing?
Okay, obviously they're two separate regimes. Licensing is more concerned with the 4 licensing objectives, and planning is obviously separate. So yeah, at this stage we're not able to consider that. If they have any concerns with the planning, then they would need to go back to the planning department.
Thank you. If there are no more questions from anybody else, I'll move on to Mr. Kevin Joyce, please. Can you outline your concerns?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
You can. Excellent. Right. I would like to speak very briefly. My subject's restricted to the waste materials associated with the site and application. If in the application stated that all waste materials will be carried off site, wastewater, sorry, in suitable containers. However, at a recent public meeting, it was revealed that a 4-inch soil pipe was installed below one of the containers, discharging into the nearby drainage ditch. A picture was provided. This was disputed at the meeting, and then within 3 days, that pipe had been removed. On the subject of existing waste disposal, i.e. cans, plastic containers, etc., these are now fed into the domestic waste collection services provided by North Somerset Council. This would obviously not be able to continue if the business licence is granted, so that would have to be addressed by the rugby club. Secondly, there is a problem with access to the units. There is no track, road or gravel path provided. Therefore, any vehicles needed to get access to any commercial bins, etc., will need to cross a grass field area, which is presenting going to be liable all sorts of problems in wet weather, which is where the rugby club is mainly associated during the winter months. The same would apply to any deliveries associated with larger numbers of customers who would be attracted to a premises with a club licence granted. In conclusion, I would respectfully request that this application is refused in view of the rather cavalier attitude of rugby club towards the environment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions? None? In which case, can I move on to Mr. Larry Van Haren, please?
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I trust you can hear me okay.
I can.
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
Splendid. Thank you very much indeed. I would firstly just concur with the previous speaker's points, but I'd also like to make some comments with regards to impact on surrounding neighbours. Yes, I do live very close to the rugby field, and our concerns are of noise and intrusion from drinking outside in the evening in what is obviously an open space. I'd also be interested to know what the justification is for allowing drinking at a rugby club until 11 o'clock at night. To my knowledge, people don't play rugby much at 11 o'clock at night. The drinking up time then till 11:30 means that we could have revellers potentially even at midnight in this open area. We also feel that it's not really conducive to a reasonable sports park or street scene, as it were, to have this kind of activity, and especially as we have a very, very good clubhouse, not 80 metres from this proposed site. I believe that the rugby club are now operating following community enforcement officers getting involved, and I would imagine, no, I don't imagine, I believe that that's the reason why this particular request for a license has now come forward. And finally, if this license was granted, how does the club propose to restrict access for drinking to members or members' guests only? It would seem to me that anybody could wander along the field and imbibe in alcoholic drinking as they wish. That wraps up my concerns. Hopefully they'll be taken on board, and I look forward to hearing any further comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda, can I just clarify, in that scenario, would the premises be open to all and sundry or just members only?
So a club certificate is quite limited in what it can offer. It is only to club members, and there are quite strict rules around that. So no, members of the public should not be able to drink at the premises.
Thank you. Any other questions from
No questions
else?
only from. No.
Okay.
Sorry, Andrew Bridges here, Winston Rugby Club. I was trying to unmute myself there.
Okay.
Can I ask a question just about the community enforcement officers? What the situation? Because you raised the point there. Could you highlight that a bit more for us? Because I'm not aware of what is entailing on that.
Amanda.
I'm afraid I'm unaware of any of that, so I'm not sure if anybody else can shed light on it from the applicant.
I think Mr. Van Huren raised it. Maybe you'd like to just clarify that, Mr. Van Huren. You said something about community support officers.
Yeah, it was my understanding that that the rugby club had been supplying alcohol, alcoholic drinks, maybe cans of cider, to their membership. As I understand it, they had been approached by a community officer with regard to them doing that as an unlicensed body. So, yeah, this is something that I had heard about, which I thought I might raise.
Okay, so there's no. Sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
If I could just mention that the club has applied for temporary event notices in the past. I'm pretty sure the most recent one was October. We haven't received any complaint for that particular one, and they have had previous temporary event notices. So I'm not sure if that's what you're relating to.
That's very possible, and if if my information is wrong, then I would apologise. But as I say, it's been my understanding that whilst it wasn't considered an issue, it has prompted the application for the license. But and again, it's just a concern for behaviour in an open field, which has all demographics, youngsters, older people, and the potential for misbehaviour that this could involve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Amanda, could you just clarify for everybody listening what a TEN, a temporary event notice, is, how many clubs can apply for, and what it entails?
So anybody can apply for a temporary event notice. They do have, it is just a notice, so they're just informing us that they are going to be having an event or consuming alcohol. They can last for up to 7 days. The club can apply for 15 a year, up to a total of 21 days. So yeah, anybody can apply for one.
Okay, if there are no more questions, can I invite Professor Nicholas Barr to outline his concerns, please?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I agree with the points that the previous speaker has made. I just want to come back to this issue of membership. I mean, this is a porter cabin on the edge of the rugby field, and people can just walk up to it and do. And I mean, it's one of the facilities of the village. But this idea that you could control sale of drinks to members that can be verified in some way, I just don't see how that would work. I mean, people don't carry rugby club membership cards and they're not required to show them. So I think there is a potential issue there. The issue I really wanted to raise, there's two. One is external lighting. There's no dedicated low-level lighting provided outside the porter cabin when leaving. Up to 10 at night, the lighting could come from the rugby floodlights, but they've got to be switched off by 10 at night. But the application is for the bar to be open till 11 o'clock and drinking up time till 11:30. And even in summer, it's dark by 10 o'clock. So you've got an issue of customers having to leave the premises in the dark. And if it's raining and the field's muddy, it's not at all clear what the safety implications of that are. My second point is that the proposed facility doesn't fill an unmet need. The clubhouse on the recreation ground is only 80 meters away. It's long established, it's fully licensed, it's got spacious indoor seating, it's got lighting, it's got full toilet and hot water facilities. And that's, as I say, is only 80 meters away. And then in addition, there's a village pub with a bar area serving meals, etc., only 5 minutes walk away. So it does raise the question of why this facility is needed. So to round up, as has been indicated, the portaloos need planning consent, but in any case, as Mr. Cutmore has argued, they're not suitable for purpose. No hot water, etc. And to have a pub in a shipping container with no heating and no external lighting and only portaloos with cold water really doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And people leaving after dark have to negotiate 2 fences to reach the car park. So I can't see that this makes sense. So, which is why I very much hope that the committee will decide that this application fails to meet the minimum standards. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, it's Dennis Cutmore once more. If I could please make one minor point. If you look at page 17 of the report that was attached to the agenda, it's got some colour on it, which is the on-premises and the off-premises. And I'd like to make the 2 shipping containers are blown up in the corner, and it's the portal lavatories are not shown on this plan. So I find it hard to believe that the licensing committee can consider an application where there are no toilet facilities. And I'd just like to rest that point, and you'll take it into account when you have your deliberations. Sorry to interject, and I'll mute myself again.
Thank you very much. Any more questions from anybody else? In which case, I will now invite the applicant, Mr. Chris Marsh, to address the concerns of local residents and clarify the application. Mr. Marsh.
Thank you very much. Hi there. Just introduce yourself. Obviously, Chris Marsh, President of Winscombe Rugby Club. Been a member since 1988, so have been around for quite a long time. Obviously, this has raised quite a few questions about what we're doing there. The thing is, our club has grown substantially in the last few years, and as we've gone up levels of playing, we're now at level 7, which is quite a high standard for a village club. We've had to look at how we operate, and we are basically a small business. And during these times, unfortunately, we have lost a number of our revenue streams, some due to the coronavirus, but also for events that we supply people for and we get paid for. So some people believe that our pitches are maintained by the parish. We don't actually have any parish land. All our land is either rented from Sidcott School, or we own our own pitches. So we have 3 different areas that we have to maintain, which come at a cost of about between 15 and 20,000 pounds a year. Now, obviously, we have a membership, which is what we're talking about here, a members club. And we are looking at ways that we can generate money to help pay for these, all our eventualities. We keep our membership quite low because obviously we're trying to create sport for all. And so this is an avenue that we've looked down, because when we have gone to other clubs, people are able to charge an entrance fee. They're charging for programs, and they supply alcoholic beverages around the side of the pitch while people are watching. We can't do that because obviously it's an open field and people can walk in from anywhere. So it's not like a club there. So that was the reasons behind us looking at it. As for the application itself, we've had a bit of a change in the clubhouse, and yes, there have been a few ructions around the village with our previous president and chairman. And what we're trying to do is get things back on a better footing and do things properly. Hence, we put the planning application in for the two containers that were already there in retrospective for a retrospective planning application, and that it was approved. And part of that was in there that we have to dispose of the wastewater. At current, we have a water supply running into both containers. They are both have electricity, which is 18th edition, and everything inside is PAT tested. And we the toilet question that obviously has come up. On a Sunday, we have about can have up to 300 children coming around, and due to safety issues, parents and adults cannot enter the changing rooms at this time. The clubhouse itself, the cricket clubhouse, not our clubhouse, doesn't open till 12, so there are no toilet facilities. So the club provides portaloos on side. They aren't currently there. I will confirm that, because there has been no rugby action at this moment in time, and it costs us to have those toilets there. So we've had them removed until we get back to a proper playing time. So these toilets will be there. And as part of that, we are looking at the wastewater will actually be removed by the same company. So it's Burnham Toilet Hire. And these toilets are maintained. They are emptied weekly. They come with hand sanitizing stations inside them. So that sort of covers over the issue of talking about hand washing and sanitization. And the wastewater, there was the container that is the cafe did come with a water or a wastewater system, which was still attached when we put it in situ, and it was going out the back of the container. That has now been sorted, and we are discharging it into a 5-litre container, which is being taken off site at this moment in time, but we intend this to be taken by the toilet hire people in a separate receptacle. So we'll be covering over on that as well. As for the license itself, we put in the times that we have as a contingency for the fact that, as I said, we are trying to look at our revenue streams and save money. Every TENS license that we've applied for, we have to pay money for, and this was just a way we were looking at it. The facility itself, as you will see, is not big enough to have teams in afterwards, to sit down, have big meetings. We have on occasions put a marquee up for which we have applied for a license at the time, and may look to do 1 or 2 events like that a year, and that is it. So we put the licensing times in there just as a guide, using the same as any sort of like public house would. But in reality, the place will probably be closed more than this is open. But we were looking at the ways that we can generate money, because, as I said, well, I didn't say it, obviously through the cricket clubhouse, there is a representation that we get money back from the clubhouse. We don't. We're not we are members of the cricket club, but we don't get money back from them. There is a contingency where they pay part of a mortgage that we have on the changing rooms, but actually we generate more money ourselves, which we would be quite happy to pay that. So we are really just looking at ways that we can generate income, because, as I said, we are running as a small business, and we've got to look at all eventualities. So that was really where I was with that. I mean, I didn't know if anybody had any more questions about it, but I think I've sort of covered across everything. The membership side of it is we have fully paid up members, and the people who are actually would be opening and running the bar are myself, Andy Bridges, who is also on the call, and one other. So we are aware of who all the members are, but on a membership license, a member can invite a guest to come with them. But this isn't the sort of thing that we would have open all the time, because we all have our own jobs. So it was really to get away from applying for TENS licenses every time, to do something and just generate some income for us.
Can I clarify the connection to a water supply from a residential dwelling?
Yeah.
How far is that dwelling away, and how secure is that water supply?
It's from a member of, a former member of the Rugby Club, George Berry, who lives, it's about 150 metres away. Okay. It's fully enclosed. It's proper underground pipe. Somebody
raised a good point that if there was a change of owners in that particular property, then that could potentially be a problem.
I think the thing here is what we're looking at as, over the years we've done little bits and pieces and been adding bits and doing things, and what we're trying to do is get this on a better footing. And so if that was the situation, we would install a proper water supply from the mains water. We would probably look to put proper drainage into the main system. The other part, sorry, I did miss off, was obviously the rubbish that is being generated. And this is another point that Kevin made, and we are very aware of this. We have been using up to this point, because we haven't really been generating that much rubbish, but we would be looking at getting a proper, somebody like Biffa, somebody like that, to dispose or come in and do it on a more commercial business. We've looked at where we would do this, and we have a position where we can put bins that they can be collected from the hard road standing on the way in. So this is, as I said, this is about us trying to get ourselves on a better footing, do things properly, not sort of ad hoc and a little bit, under the radar, if you want to put it that way, because we understand that, not everybody wants to have a rugby club in their back garden, but it's there, it's been there since not 1962, but it's been there a very long time, and we're just looking at ways how we can maintain and improve ourselves all the time.
Now, the hours applied for are up to 11 o'clock. Now, I believe the lighting goes off at 10 o'clock. So yeah. How would you get around that particular issue?
Both containers do actually have outside lights on them. We just don't put them on because, well, we haven't really used it. So this is the whole thing. We're trying to step up how we do everything and improve, but both containers do have outside lights on, floodlights.
Okay. Chair, have you seen Sarah's hand up, Chair? Have you noticed that?
No. Thank you, Chair. It's just a question to Mr. Marsh. Just on how often do you think you'll have event days and the actual the bar will be open, or is it going to be open only on event days, or will you have other events?
Obviously, we were looking at match days, which are
match days, yeah,
Saturdays and Sundays, depending on whether it's cup games, whether it's Colts or juniors. Obviously, with juniors, we'd be looking more at the members' parents rather than anything else. We have training nights Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and sometimes there are floodlit matches on Friday evenings. But that's not regular occurrence. The main days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
And when does training finish?
Training starts at just before 7 and finishes around 8:30. That's actually the time they are training on the pitch. So we open it after they've trained on the pitch. These are things that we've done. This is what we'd be looking at doing just for a short time. So it is to cover us across all eventualities, as I said, because we have applied in the past for the TENS licenses the Saturdays that we've run home games when we've got visiting teams. And it's really just looking at ways that we can sort of like reduce that cost and just be a little bit more, make it simplified.
And generally on the match days, when you've had the TENS to cover those events, what kind of times have you finished at? What kicking out times?
When we've applied, we've had the TENS license. We've tried to actually limit it to about 10 o'clock because obviously it is on side of the pitch. So
yes. Okay, no, that's great. Thank you very much, Chair. That's all questions.
Councillor Solomon.
Yeah, I've got a couple of points of clarification that maybe somebody can help me with. One is that the cricket club, I understand at the moment, does not do food, just alcohol, except on special occasions. First, am I correct on that? And second, I understand that there's also the football club has some form of facility in the area as well. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to answer that one. The cricket club has itself has a kitchen, which during the COVID times has not been serving any food at all. But it does. They do rent their kitchen out, so somebody can supply food. And both the football and the rugby club and cricket club have after-match food, which is supplied from that kitchen. At the moment, it's supplied by John Ogden, who runs the bar. It's his wife runs it, but they haven't been doing it during COVID. And that wouldn't change. We'd still be looking to use that facility because we always look to provide food for an away team, and that would still take place in the cricket clubhouse. We're not looking to move away from there. We're just looking at ways we can generate some extra income. And with the football club do have, it's on the cricket clubhouse itself, there is a corner unit which they use as a sort of burger come bacon van on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And they're obviously doing the same as us, trying to generate some extra income.
Thanks for that, but they're not licensed independently, I take it. They're running off the cricket club. The alcohol's coming from the cricket club, not from them.
The cricket, yeah, the football club bacon wagon, they don't serve alcohol from there. It is on the corner of it, but the cricket clubhouse, it comes from the clubhouse, yeah.
Fine, thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Larry Van Huren.
Yeah, Mr. Van Huren has his hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just to direct to Chris, I want to reiterate, because I made the comment in my original representation that I'm a great admirer of Winscombe Rugby Club, so I have absolutely no problem with being a neighbour. Indeed, my sons, when they were much younger, used to love to come and play rugby here. So we clear that up to start with. I'm just coming back to the question of hygiene and lavatories. These are the kind of things that concern us the most. You mentioned something about, at times could have 300 people, children. Exactly how many portaloos are you proposing? And do you really think that emptying those once a week is going to be anywhere near enough? And have these COVID times, I know COVID won't be relevant when you're selling alcohol, but have these COVID times taught us that simple hand sanitizing is probably not enough, having used the lavatory? Hot water and soap has got to be the way forward. So, Chris, any comments on that?
Chairman, point of order. Chairman, point of order. Is this really under our remit? The 300 odd children using the portaloos, Sarah, or at the moment we're considering the license element and not that element of things. Am I right?
You are right, but it has been raised as an objection. But I would note that there has been no statutory representations from environmental health, and certainly the hygiene people have not made any representations. So Mr. Van Huren can make the objection, but as far as you're concerned, it's not really within the licensing remit. Maybe Amanda, would you like to comment on that as well?
No, I would agree with you, Sarah. We haven't had any representations from environmental, so I'm not sure really what we can suggest about that.
Sorry, it's Chris. I just come back on that one. Obviously, when I say there's 300 children, they have access to the changing rooms. What I was saying about having portaloos is the fact that we cannot allow parents and adults to go into those changing rooms when there are children in there for safety. So the children are using the changing room facilities. The portaloos are provided for parents and not so much coaches, but sort of people who are there to watch. and obviously, when it's senior rugby, there is access to the changing room toilet facilities.
Councillor Cherry.
I too am very concerned about the lack of hot water. I know that I just feel that in these times of COVID, that I know that it's not strictly licensing, but I'm still really, really concerned about the COVID risks about this, and I don't know in terms of whether or not there will be COVID regulations that will actually impact licensing. Do we know if there's any overlap? Have the government issued any advice on this? It's very odd, because I'd have thought hot water is absolutely key.
Sarah or Amanda?
I'll pass that over to Amanda, because I'm not aware that the government has put in any COVID regulations. Amanda?
I'm not aware either, Sarah. I mean, obviously, washing hands is a big part of everything at the moment. I know that Chris has said that there will be hot water in the cafe part. I really can't help any further on that one, I'm afraid.
Councillor Cherry, any further comments?
I would add that it's not really remit of the licensing committee, and just going back to the original point is that environmental health have passed this on hygiene. They haven't made any statutory representations about that.
Councillor Cherry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from local residents?
Andy Sue Isherwood has her hand up. Andy.
Sue Isherwood. She's not on my screen, so Sue.
Yeah, she did have her hand up, but she's obviously taken it down now.
Oh, thank you, councillors. I joined the meeting late. Apologies for that. I was at a meeting prior to this one. I was only going to add that the environmental health team have done their assessment of the premises and are satisfied with the water and disposal arrangements currently. I take Councillor Cherry's point about the COVID situation currently, and they should be in line with the COVID regulations, making assisted support for COVID with things like hand sanitizer, perhaps a QR code if people are entering the premises for track and trace purposes. Those things are above and beyond what environmental health would normally expect. And if environmental health are currently satisfied with that, we wouldn't look to condition COVID arrangements on the standard licence, if that's any help.
Thank you.
So it's Andy Bridges here from Winston Rugby Club. I don't know how to put my hand up. I can't work that facility out. Can I just make a point about the hot water?
Yes, please do.
So at the moment, yeah, we are. I'm working on the food safety aspect of everything of these units going forward. So we are required to put in hot water in both sites. One, the cafe site already has the hot water in it. The other container at the moment is in the process of having that put in. It doesn't have the water supply is hopefully going to be going to that unit, and it will have a water heater in it. And if we are required by legislation to put any more in for sake of the toilets, then we can do at the bottom end of that unit and have a water heater that supplies the hot water for that unit. So that it would be an easy fix, and we could do that quite quickly and would do that quite quickly. So I just thought I'd make a point on that.
Thank you. Any more questions from local residents? Any more questions from councillors?
Yeah,
Councillor
Andy, I'd like to address the noise issue. How far from the facility are the nearest houses? I don't know if Chris can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, you can see on the plan, obviously, how far it is,
Yeah.
But the nearest houses are probably between 80 and 100 metres away.
Okay, thank you.
if there are no more questions, I will ask all the interested parties now to sum up. So should we start with Amanda Hodge? Any closing comments?
Just that you consider all the information that you've heard and make a decision based on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dennis Cutmore, any closing comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I have no further comments.
Thank you. Mr. Kevin Joyce, any closing comments?
Mr.
I
Joyce,
think that
you
was
want
a no, Chair.
Yes.
No, anyway, Chair.
Mr. Larry Van Haren?
No further comments from me. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Professor Nicholas Barr, any closing comments?
No further comments from me. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Chris Marsh, any closing comments?
Just that obviously seen our neighbours and we are trying to work with them more closely, and if they would like to talk about anything or we have any issues, then I am always open and happy to have a conversation with them.
Thank you very much. Well, at this stage, if I can invite everyone to leave the meeting apart from the legal officer and the licensing committee, and I suggest we reconvene at 11:15. Sarah, would that be okay?
That'll be fine. I think that gives you enough time to make your decision. If everybody could leave the meeting, as Chairman said, and then rejoin using the same link, the meeting will stay open, but please come back using the same link to come back into the meeting at 11:15. Thank you very much. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the licensing subcommittee. The licensing subcommittee has made a decision, and I'm going to hand you over to Andy Cole as chairman. Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillor Cole, you're muted. Could you just unmute yourself?
Sorry. Thank you all for your patience. After due consideration, the committee has decided to grant the application, but with modifications. Sarah, can you outline those modifications, please?
Thank you very much, Councillor Cole. So the modifications are to the times. So the sale of alcohol Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday will be from 1700 hours to 2200 hours. Hours open to the public for those days will be 1200 hours to 2200 hours. So that's 12 till 10:30. For the day of Sunday, sale of alcohol will be 1700 hours to 2000 hours, 8 p.m. and the hours open to the public will be 1200 hours to 20:30 hours. That's 8:30 p.m. Okay, so for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's 5 till 10. Sale of alcohol, hours are open 12 till 10:30. For Sunday will be 5 till 8 p.m. Hours open 12 till 8:30 p.m. In addition, there will be a condition to the licence, which will be a litter receptacle shall be placed outside the premises for customers to use. Any receptacle placed in accordance with this condition shall be regularly emptied by a commercial waste company. Okay, hope that's clear for everybody. A decision letter with all of these times and the condition will be sent to the applicants, and a copy will be sent to all interested parties, including those that have made representations, and that should be with you within 5 working days. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and we will now close the meeting. Thank you. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.